Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. When you think of ancient Egypt, what comes to mind? Majestic pyramids piercing the sky, colossal statues of pharaohs, and temples that have stood for millennia. It's easy to be awestruck by these wonders, but have you ever stopped to think about how they were built? Not by magic, not by aliens, but by the sheer genius of ancient Egyptian engineers. Today we're diving deep into the incredible engineering feats that defined one of history's greatest civilizations. We'll explore the tools, techniques, and brilliant minds that turned sand and stone into an eternal legacy. So get ready to uncover the secrets behind the monuments that have fascinated humanity for thousands of years. Let's start with the most iconic structures of all, the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu, is a masterpiece of precision. It consists of over 2 million stone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons. How on earth did they move and lift them with no modern machinery? The answer lies in simple, yet effective technology and incredible organization. Archaeologists believe the Egyptians used a combination of ramps. These weren't just simple straight ramps. They likely used various designs, including straight, zigzagging, and even spiral ramps that wrapped around the pyramid as it grew. To move the massive stone blocks, they used wooden sledges. A famous tomb painting from Jehutihotep shows a colossal statue being moved by 172 men pulling a sledge. But here's the clever part. You can see a person in front pouring water onto the sand. This wasn't just for show. Recent studies have shown that wetting the sand in front of a sledge reduces friction by up to 50%, making it much easier to pull heavy loads. It's a perfect example of how the Egyptians used their understanding of physics to solve monumental challenges. They combined brute force with brilliant problem solving. Quarrying these stones was another engineering marvel in itself. The primary tools were copper chisels and saws, which are relatively soft. So how did they cut hard granite? They used a technique of drilling holes into the rock, then inserting wooden wedges. They would soak the wedges with water, causing the wood to expand and crack the stone along the desired lines. For harder stones like granite, they used dolerite pounders, a type of hard rock, to bash the stone into shape. And to get those perfectly flat surfaces, they used sand as an abrasive, rubbing it between the stones to grind them down until they fit together with incredible precision. So precise that you often can't fit a piece of paper between the blocks of the Great Pyramid. But Egyptian engineering wasn't just about pyramids. Their temples, like the Karnak and Luxor temple complexes, are equally impressive. Think about the colossal columns of the hypostyle hall at Karnak. These columns are over 60 feet tall. How did they lift the massive stone drums that make up these columns into place? The prevailing theory is that they used a method of building mud brick ramps and filling the area with sand. They would haul the stone drum up the ramp, position it, and then remove some of the sand to lower it carefully onto the column below. Then they'd raise the sand level again for the next piece. It was a slow, painstaking process that required immense coordination and patience. Let's also talk about obelisks, single towering pillars of granite. The unfinished obelisk at Aswan gives us a fantastic glimpse into their methods. This single piece of rock would have weighed over 1,000 tons if completed. It shows us that they quarried these giants directly from the bedrock. The challenge wasn't just cutting them, but lifting them and transporting them, often hundreds of miles down the Nile on massive barges. Erecting them was another challenge entirely. It's believed they built a huge ramp, slid the obelisk down base first into a sand-filled pit, and then used ropes and leverage to pull it upright as the sand was slowly removed. It was a high-stakes, incredibly dangerous operation. One mistake and the priceless monument would shatter. Beyond grand monuments, Egyptian engineers were masters of water management. The Nile was the lifeblood of Egypt, but its annual flood was both a gift and a curse. To control it, they developed sophisticated irrigation systems, including canals and dikes, to divert floodwaters to their fields. This allowed them to create a surplus of food, which was essential for supporting the massive labor force required for their building projects. They also invented the shaduf, a simple but effective counterweight crane used to lift water from the river into irrigation channels. This device is still used in parts of Egypt today, a testament to its brilliant and timeless design. The precision of their work is another point of astonishment. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with the 4 cardinal directions, off by just a tiny fraction of a degree. How did they achieve this without a compass? They were master astronomers. It's believed they used the stars, likely by tracking the rising and setting of a particular star, or by bisecting the angle between the rising and setting positions of a star to find true north. Their ability to survey and lay out these massive construction sites with such accuracy is mind-boggling. They use simple tools like plumb bobs for vertical lines and square levels for horizontal ones, but they used them with incredible skill. Who were these engineers? They weren't just laborers, they were highly respected officials and scholars. Men like Imhotep, the architect of the first step pyramid for Pharaoh Djoser, were revered as geniuses. He was a physician, an astronomer, and a high priest, and his work was so revolutionary that he was later deified as a god of medicine and wisdom. These projects were managed by a well-organized state bureaucracy that planned everything from sourcing materials and organizing labor to ensuring the workers were fed and housed. Recent excavations of workers' villages near Giza show that the pyramid builders were not slaves, but skilled, paid laborers who took pride in their work. They were organized into crews and competed with each other, leaving behind graffiti that reads, "The Drunkards of Menkaure," or "The Friends of Khufu." So, when we look at the pyramids, temples, and obelisks of ancient Egypt, we're not just seeing piles of stone. We are seeing the physical manifestation of centuries of accumulated knowledge, brilliant innovation, and incredible human effort. The Egyptian engineers were masters of their craft, using the tools and knowledge available to them to create structures that have defied time itself. They literally moved mountains, tamed rivers, and built for eternity. Their legacy is a powerful reminder that with ingenuity and perseverance, human beings can achieve the seemingly impossible. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through ancient Egyptian engineering. If you found this as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to History of the Ancient World for more deep dives into the past. Let us know in the comments which ancient engineering feat you find most impressive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.